I woke up to my best friend's text, "Bro, I don't know how to tell you this, but I saw her last night with your dad. I thought he was drunk or joking." Then he sent the photo. They weren't just out. They were holding hands and smiling. Hey there. We're working hard to hit our first 1,000 subscribers. If you love true, emotional stories, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Now let's get into the story. I woke up around 10 a.m. that Saturday. My head was pounding, not from drinking, just from life. I'd worked late the night before, came home to an empty apartment, and fell asleep on the couch watching some mindless cooking show. Nothing felt particularly off, until I checked my phone. There were 3 missed calls from Eli, my best friend since 6th grade, and a text that just said, "Bro, I don't know how to tell you this, but I saw her last night with your dad." I sat up straight. My stomach immediately twisted. You ever feel your whole body suddenly go cold, like your skin's reacting before your brain catches up? At first, I actually laughed. Like out loud. I thought he was drunk. Eli goes to this bar downtown every Friday. He probably saw someone who looked like my dad. Maybe Marissa too. Or maybe he was just messing with me, like we've done since we were kids. We used to send each other ridiculous fake texts just to get a reaction. I was halfway through typing, "What are you on, man?" when another message came through. A photo. It was blurry. Looked like it was taken from across the bar or maybe through a window. But I saw enough. 2 people at a corner table. The guy was sitting close, too close. Hand on her knee. And her face, turned sideways with that little smile I'd seen 100 times before. I zoomed in. My heart dropped. It was Marissa. No question. I knew that brown leather jacket. I bought it for her last fall when we went upstate. She wore it every time she wanted to look effortlessly hot. And the guy across from her? He had the same silver hair and dark navy coat my dad always wore to work. They weren't just out. They were together, holding hands, and smiling. For a moment, I didn't move. My body just froze, like the photo had sucked the air out of the room. And then this weird buzzing sound kicked in, not from the phone, from my head. Everything felt far away, distant, like I was watching my own apartment from outside the window. I didn't even realize I was still holding my toothbrush until I dropped it into my lap. I called Eli. He picked up fast. "Man, I swear to you, I didn't want to be the one to tell you. But I couldn't just let you stay in the dark. I was grabbing a late drink with Claire, and we saw them near the bar at Dorian's. I thought, no way. But then I saw him touch her leg. And she let him. I didn't know what to say. All I could do was listen. I got the photo, but they left right after. He had his hand on the small of her back. Like he'd done it before. That last part, it got to me. The way Eli said it. The way he knew it wasn't just a flirty mistake. It felt practiced. Comfortable. I told him thanks and hung up. Then I sat there for 10 minutes, just trying to decide if I should call her. Marissa had told me she was going to a low-key movie night with her old college friends. Girls only thing. They were going to catch up, do wine and cheese and all that. She even sent me a selfie from her friend Kara's apartment. I remember it because she captioned it, "I'll bring back snacks for you," smiley face. I checked the timestamp. 9:11 p.m. The bar photo? 9:47 p.m. Different outfit. Different place. She changed. She lied. And the weirdest part? She never came home last night. Said she'd crashed at Kara's because they stayed up late. I opened her location on Find My. She'd turned it off. I'd never noticed. I guess that was the first moment where it clicked. This wasn't a one-time slip. This was planned. I started scrolling back through our messages, trying to find a crack. Some clue. Some weird sentence or off moment I'd missed. And suddenly, little memories started lighting up in my head like warning lights. 3 weeks ago, she came back from a long dinner with her boss and didn't want to hook up. Said she was too tired. That same week, my dad had texted me asking if he could borrow my apartment key. Said he had a client downtown and didn't want to drive all the way back home between meetings. I didn't think anything of it. He used to use my place once in a while, especially if mom was working night shifts. 2 months ago, Marissa started wearing new perfume. Got it as a gift, she said. I never asked from who. Now I was starting to see the pieces. And they weren't fitting into anything good. I didn't know what I was supposed to do next. Call her? Confront my dad? Instead, I opened our family's old shared iPad, the one we used for Netflix back when I lived at home. It was still linked to my dad's iCloud. That's when things really started unraveling. You know how sometimes you open something expecting nothing, and you find everything? That's what happened when I grabbed that old iPad from the bottom drawer. It still had the cracked screen protector I'd meant to replace 2 years ago. The battery was dead, so I plugged it in, sat at the kitchen table, and waited. I didn't even know why I was doing it. Half of me still wanted to believe this was some huge misunderstanding. But the other half? The half staring at that photo of Marissa and my dad at the bar? That part knew I wasn't waking up from this. Once the iPad powered on, I opened the Find My app. Still synced. My dad's Apple Watch was still connected to this thing. I don't know if he forgot or if he just never bothered disconnecting, but there it was, Charles's Apple Watch. Location, the Foxmore Hotel. Last night, room 612. Checked in at 8:34 p.m. Left at 11:56 p.m. 3 hours. Then this weird little thing hit me. His step count for the day was listed. Barely any movement from 5 to 8. Then a spike around 8:30. Then nothing again. Like someone walked across a parking lot. Then just laid down. I tapped into the Apple Wallet section. Room service receipt. 2 cocktails, 1 Caesar salad, 1 filet mignon, extra dessert. 2 forks. I just sat there, in silence, feeling like my face was trying to detach from my body. My heart wasn't even racing anymore. It was worse. It felt slow. Heavy. I screenshotted everything. I opened messages to send it to myself, but right before I hit send, something told me to look one more place. My dad's iMessages were backed up too. Not all of them. Just some. Maybe from earlier in the month when he switched phones. I scrolled past boring ones. Work people. Spam codes. Then I saw a contact saved under M. Not Marissa. Just M. Like he was being just careful enough to not look suspicious. I clicked it. No, I love US. No heart emojis. Nothing obvious. But the conversation? It was damning in its own quiet way. Him. Tonight, same room? I'll book ahead this time. Her. Yes. But I can't stay long. He's been asking questions. Him. We'll be fast. Her. We never are. I couldn't stop staring at that last message. It hit like a punch to the throat. Not because it was dirty. Because it was intimate. Familiar. Like they'd done this before. Like this wasn't the first time she had lied to me and crept into my dad's arms the same night. I closed the iPad. I stood there, phone in hand, and asked myself one question. Do I confront him or her first? I didn't even realize I was pacing the kitchen until my coffee mug shattered on the floor. Knocked it over with my elbow. Didn't matter. I called her. Marissa. She picked up on the third ring, sounding groggy. Hey, what's up? Where are you right now? She hesitated. At Karis. I told you. No, you're not. I have your location history. And you weren't at Karis. You were at the Foxmore. Room 612. With my dad. Dead silence. I waited. Then she exhaled. And what she said next. It wasn't denial. It wasn't begging. It wasn't even shock. She said, with this weird calm voice I didn't recognize. I was going to tell you. It just got complicated. I felt something flip inside me. Complicated? You're sleeping with my father. Another pause. Then she said something that would stick in my brain for the rest of my life. You don't know what it's like to be with someone who actually has presence. Your dad. He walks into a room and people notice. You still fumble your words around strangers. I didn't hang up. I just went quiet. And she filled the silence. Like she always did when she thought she was still in control. He's helping me. He says he can get me a better job. Better life. He believes in me in a way you never really did. I said nothing. And then she threw in one last line, just to twist the knife. You were just a chapter? He's the story. I ended the call. And I sat down on the floor. Not because I was defeated, but because I was calculating. Because now, I wasn't just the guy who got betrayed. I was the guy with every receipt, every screenshot, every message. And I had plans. After I hung up on Marissa, I didn't move for a while. My apartment felt like a vacuum. No noise. Just the sound of the refrigerator buzzing and my own thoughts chasing each other in circles. I wasn't even sure what I felt at that point. It was like being inside a dream you know isn't real, but you can't wake up yet. I'd spent the last 3 years imagining a future with her. Maybe not perfect, but stable. Familiar. We were talking about moving in with a second dog, maybe starting to save for a wedding. She'd even shown me Pinterest boards of dresses. And now? She was sleeping with the man who raised me. The worst part? I still hadn't heard from him. No explanation. No apology. No, let me explain. Just silence. That silence told me everything. So I grabbed my keys, printed the screenshots, and drove across town to my parents' house. My mom was working from home that day. I didn't even call ahead. I just walked in like I used to back in high school, when I still thought this place was safe. She was in the kitchen, on her laptop, reading something. She looked up and smiled when she saw me, but the smile faded quick. What's wrong? I didn't say anything, just handed her the envelope. She opened it slowly, like she already knew this wasn't something she wanted to see. She took out the photos first, the blurry picture of Dad and Marissa at the bar, followed by the Apple Watch logs, then the texts. She read every line. No reaction, just this long stare. Her mouth moved like she wanted to speak, but couldn't yet find the words. Finally, she set the papers down, folded her hands, and looked at me. Her voice was calm, way calmer than mine would have been. I'm calling a lawyer. Don't say a word to your father until I'm done. It was like a switch flipped in her. No tears, no breakdown, just purpose. I asked, did you know? She paused for a moment, then nodded slowly. Not about her, she said. But I've had my suspicions. For years. Little things. Hotel charges that didn't add up. Business trips that got extended last minute. But I never had proof. And I told myself I'd stay for you. That last part hit me harder than I expected. All this time, she was staying in a house that probably stopped feeling like home a long time ago, just to give me a family. I asked her what she wanted to do now. She said, I'm going to take back my time, my money, my life. You don't need to be part of this unless you want to. But I won't stay married to a man who betrays both of us in one move. She reached for her phone and started making calls. To a lawyer, to the bank, to a close friend who worked in finance. It was like she'd been waiting for this moment and finally had the green light to act. That's when I realized this wasn't just my story. It was hers too. My mom wasn't the kind of woman to post quotes about self-worth on Facebook. She was quiet, strong, the type to do things behind the scenes. She used to fix every broken thing in the house without ever making a big deal about it. But now, she was ready to burn the house down if she had to. Before I left, she said one last thing to me. Don't text him. Don't confront him. He's arrogant. He thinks no one's watching. Let him dig deeper. Let him get comfortable. So I did. For once in my life, I listened to her without arguing. I went back home. I didn't block Marissa. I didn't call my dad. Instead, I texted Eli. Told him everything. He replied instantly. Let's get receipts. All of them. If we're going scorched earth, we're doing it right. So that night, we got to work. That night was the first time I ever looked at my childhood photos and felt like I was staring at a stranger. Eli came over around 8. He brought Thai food, his laptop, and a notepad like we were planning a heist. We started organizing everything, screenshots, timestamps, locations, old texts, and the Apple Watch data. We wanted a full timeline, something airtight. But halfway through, my mom called. She never calls late unless something's wrong or important. I answered fast. She didn't waste time. There's something you need to know. Something I probably should have told you years ago. But after today, it doesn't feel right to keep it from you anymore. I sat down, already bracing. Charles isn't your biological father. The words didn't hit me all at once. They came in like waves. What? She continued. When we were trying to have you, it wasn't working. We did multiple rounds of fertility treatments. Nothing took. He didn't want anyone to know. He was embarrassed. But eventually, we went with a donor. Anonymous. The clinic matched based on features. I was pregnant within 2 months. She paused, like she was waiting for me to say something. I couldn't. I wanted to tell you after you turned 18, but you and your dad were so close back then. I thought, why shake that up? He said it didn't matter, that you were his son in every way. I started laughing. Not because it was funny, because of the insanity of it all. The man who wasn't my father slept with my girlfriend. And the woman I loved knew. That's right. Marissa knew. She found out 2 months ago during an argument she had with him. I remembered now. She came home quiet and moody and said she and my dad had a weird talk about family stuff. I thought it was about marriage or traditions or something. Nope. He told her. And she stayed with him. So now, I wasn't just the guy who got cheated on. I was the placeholder. The disposable stand-in for a man I wasn't even biologically connected to. I thanked my mom. Told her I didn't hate her for keeping it from me. Honestly, at that point, I was just numb to secrets. But I also felt something else building up, something sharper, more focused. This wasn't going to end with silence. Not anymore. We were going to expose everything. And Eli? He had an idea. So, what if you let them announce it first, he said. I raised an eyebrow. The relationship, he explained. Let them go public. Let them tell the world what they're doing. Let them show everyone how happy they are. While you build the story. At first, I wasn't sure what he meant. But then it clicked. Let them get comfortable. Let them get bold. And then drop the truth. So we waited. A week passed. No contact from my dad. Nothing from Marissa either. Then it happened. I got a call from my aunt. Hey Josh, I know this might be awkward, but your dad and Marissa just posted engagement photos on Facebook. I swear, I almost dropped my phone. They were standing in a garden somewhere. His arm around her. Her hand on his chest. Caption. We found love in an unexpected place. Life is short. Follow your heart. Follow your heart. He followed his heart into my bedroom. That was it. That was the green light. I texted my mom. Told her it was time. She sent back a one-word reply. Agreed. I didn't even have to plan the dinner. They did it for me. 3 days after the engagement photos went up, I got a group text from my dad. First one in weeks. Small celebration this Friday. Just close friends and family. Hope you can come, son. He really called me son. After everything. He wanted me to show up, smile, shake hands, and maybe even congratulate him for stealing the girl I was going to propose to. Like he could rewrite our story with enough champagne and fake smiles. I didn't respond. Not right away. But Eli and I already had the plan ready. Friday night came. I wore a navy button-up and brought a small gift box. Nothing too flashy. Just enough to blend in. My mom showed up separately. Cool, elegant, composed like always. Eli tagged along as my +1, just for support. The dinner was held at a fancy rental space. Dim lights, jazz playing, little gold signs with their names written in cursive. A full table spread. Candles. Wine glasses catching the flicker. It was disgusting. And they looked so proud of it all. My dad was glowing. Marissa was beaming like she'd just solved world hunger. When we walked in, she actually had the nerve to hug me. Said, I'm really glad you came. I nodded and told her she looked surprisingly comfortable. She didn't catch it, or pretended not to. The guests mingled. Toasts were made. Their friends laughed at nothing. My aunt cried when they kissed. I waited. And then, just before dessert, my dad stood up with his glass. Thank you all for being here tonight. Life has taken some unexpected turns, but love has a way of surprising us. I know some of you were shocked, but I hope you'll come to see what Marissa and I have is real. People clapped, like seals. And then I stood up too. Tapped my fork gently against my glass. People turned. Some smiled. Others braced. I'd like to make a toast too, I said. You could feel the room shift. My dad gave me that performative nod, like, see? I told you he'd come around. I held up my glass. Let's raise a toast to the man who taught me everything. How to tie a tie. How to change a tire. How to break someone you're supposed to protect. And how to smile while doing it. Dead silence. Marissa's face froze. My dad lowered his glass, very slowly. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the small black gift box. Opened it. Pulled out a flash drive. This contains every receipt. The hotel records. The texts. The photos. The ones you deleted from your phone, but not your watch. I handed it to my dad. Then turned to Marissa. You said I was just a chapter. He was the story. Well, I hope you like the ending. No one clapped this time. My mom gave a single nod from across the room. Eli smiled behind his wine glass. Marissa looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. My dad just stood there, blinking. Like he'd forgotten how to respond to someone who wasn't afraid of him anymore. I didn't wait for dessert. I just walked out. Didn't even close the door softly. And the best part? As I stepped outside, my phone buzzed. Eli had already uploaded everything to a private Reddit thread. Anonymous, of course. But the comments were already blowing up. Screenshots spreading. The truth no longer locked in my head. Let them explain that to their country club friends. I woke up the next morning to 37 unread messages. 12 from my dad. 7 from Marissa. The rest from family members who had either heard the toast in person or through the very generous grapevine of screenshots now making the rounds on social media. One of the texts from my dad simply said, "You went too far." I didn't answer. Another said, "We're still family. Don't do this." But here's the thing. You don't get to pull the family card after you sleep with your son's girlfriend. You don't get to rewrite blood like it's a contract you can pull out when you're caught. I didn't answer that one either. The Reddit thread went viral. Eli anonymized everything perfectly. No names, no cities, but people knew. Friends from work started texting me with variations of holy sh***. Is this real? The only one I responded to was my buddy Tim from college. I just sent him a thumbs up and a link to the public Facebook post my dad had made a week earlier about love finding you when you least expect it. Let them connect the dots. Marissa tried one more time. About a week later, she showed up at my apartment unannounced. I opened the door and saw her standing there, hair up in a messy bun, hoodie too big for her frame, like she was trying to look small. Harmless. I didn't say anything. She handed me a letter. I didn't take it. She said, I made a mistake. I just looked at her. She added, he's not who I thought he was. It got messy. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I smiled. Not out of amusement. Just because it was so predictable. I think you like the idea of him more than the reality of him, I said. Turns out money doesn't make a man better. Just makes the damage more expensive. She didn't argue. Just stood there, eyes a little glassy, trying to look like she felt something. And maybe she did. But that didn't matter. I told her to leave. She asked if I'd ever forgive her. I didn't answer. And I closed the door. As for my dad, he lost more than me. My mom filed for divorce the same week. Took the house, half the accounts, and everything else the lawyer could pry from the wreckage. Turns out, she'd been documenting things for a while. He'd just made her case ironclad. He tried to salvage his reputation at work, but a few of his clients found the Reddit post. They put it together. The man who once walked into rooms with a smug smirk and a power tie, now he couldn't walk through the grocery store without someone whispering behind his back. And me? I got quiet. No revenge tour. No dramatic rebound. I took some time off work. Picked up photography again. Spent a week hiking with Eli and just breathing. It took a while to stop flinching at my phone. To stop checking people's intentions like they were landmines. But eventually, the noise faded. And I started remembering who I was before I became someone else's collateral damage. A month later, I got one last message from Marissa. If things had been different, maybe we'd be married by now. I didn't reply. I just archived it. Because honestly, if things had been different, I never would have known who they really were. And now that I do, I'm better off than I've ever been. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day. And trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.